But now we have three people who I am going to ask to come up to the table. One we have met already, Earl Crosby. As he said, he's prepared for this one, so we'll welcome him up. We have Patty Madigan, who's going to be our first speaker, and we have Dina Moore, who is a founding board member of the Jaeger Van Dusen Environmental Stewardship, or Stewards. So welcome, and let's see. I thought I saw Earl, and here is Earl, and here is Patty. And Patty is the Mendocino County Resource Conservation, from the Mendocino County Resource Conservation District. She's going to talk about the IRWM program, assisting resource conservation districts towards their mission. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate everything that went into organizing this event. I was here 5 years ago. This time I returned with a cold, and I was really happy to see the throat coat tea out there, so whoever's decision that was very, very served my needs today. So again, thank you for all the effort and work, and thank you all for being here. I've been working for the Mendocino County Resource Conservation District for about 12 and a half years, and I've been serving as a technical peer review team member since the inception of this process, and I'm very proud of both of those things. How many of you have seen this photo before of the salmon going upstream? A few of you have. It's actually from my neighborhood. It somehow went from my desktop to Fish and Game to their salmon recovery report, and I don't even know, I think the feds have it now too, but I wanted to just say that we go from the micro to the macro very easily on the North Coast, and wanted to just shout out to Marilyn Stubbs for taking the photo. I was so excited I couldn't even get my camera out. I'm going, oh, look, there's a fish, there's a fish. So anyway, yeah, we are definitely headed towards our goal thanks to the efforts of the IRWM. Next slide, please. The IRWM and resource conservation districts probably share a little bit of the same best kept secret status, that when you use an acronym like IRWM or NCRP or RCDs, people kind of look at you like, is that the recreational California? And you sort of get lost in that. So this is really just sort of a 101 basic overview of what resource conservation districts, they are special districts of the state of California under California law. And they are they're locally governed with a local group of volunteer directors, and they're independent, and they represent lots of land use practices that we see on the North Coast. They implement projects on both public and private lands. They educate and do outreach, and they champion resource conservation. And when we talk about what the mission of RCDs are, I would have to say they're probably very, very diverse. We might have a lot more in common in terms of our land use practices on the North Coast, but really when you take it down to that micro level again, our priorities are different according to what is our land use practices, what economic enterprises are we serving, how do we create that balance. So here are some of the things that resource conservation districts do. I have to say that in Mendocino County, we do a lot of watershed planning, water conservation, water quality protection and restoration enhancement projects. We are more and more getting into ag land conservation and working with partners like land trusts, and habitat enhancement. Fisheries is very big in our neck of the woods. We've done large woody debris projects, lots of road restoration projects, water quality improvement projects. We reach out to the schools, and we have developed curriculum enhancement projects. That's sort of my area, my pet baby there. And I have learned by trial and error that you're much better going into a community, into a school, saying, what can we help you achieve? What are your goals? How can we enhance your curriculum, not deliver something to you that might, be kind of the flavor of the week and then just disappear. So we constantly go in and say, what are you doing now? What's on your plate? How can we help you? And then we tailor whatever we do to what they're excited about. And that was a very good idea, and it continues to, even though teachers cycle through the schools and we have to go back and start all over again, we find that that's probably one of our best value-added efforts, is to go into the community, say, how can we help you? When communities come to RCDs and say, look, we're trying to do this project or we have this goal, can you help us? It's much better than us going to them and say, you've got a problem over there, in case you haven't recognized, and we're here to, write in and help save the day. That usually doesn't work very well. So, RCDs, I think, function really well when the community comes to them and says, we've got a challenge, can you help us, provide resources, can we sit down together and try to figure things out? So, let's see. We have 99 RCDs statewide. There is a movement afoot to, in certain cases, to have those merge or have some of them phase out that aren't very active. Some of them, I think the Trinity County RCD at one point had over 40 employees. Maybe somebody can update me as to whether that's still the case. I know resource conservation districts who have one part-time employee, if that. Maybe that's a volunteer too. So they're all over the map, literally and figuratively. And each RCD has a mission that, like I said before, respects and reflects the local land use and resource conservation priorities. Local, local, local. I keep saying local. I put the L at the end. And they have a very good, resource conservation districts work directly with landowners, and landowners feel very comfortable with us because we don't do any regulatory activities. We try to stay right up the middle of the road in terms of our politics. And they feel very comfortable because, we tell them from the get-go, look, we're going to do the best we can to help you, but it could take years between getting the funding and the permitting, lining up the resources and the technical assistance, the leveraging funding. Something might happen over here, and then you lose your match over here. Really, it is kind of a long-term relationship, kind of like I don't know, sort of like you join in and you start and you do something small. It may not be the most important thing in terms of the resource conservation district's priorities, but if it's important to that landowner, you try to do that project with them, you form a relationship, and then you go after the thing you really want to do. And usually they'll meet you and join you, and we have some projects that started off with just a stream bank that was threatening somebody's road, and it turned into a 15-mile road assessment that turned into, a $500,000 implementation project, and saved, incredible amount of sediment for all beneficial uses downstream. So you might start with a small project, may not be at the top of your list, but if it's at the top of their list, you figure out how to do it, and you look at some of these partnerships. So if we could go to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about our partnerships. We have a long-term history with NRCS, used to be called the Soil Conservation Service, and we share, in some cases, RCDs share office space, they share computers, they share technical assistance. They partner together on things like in Mendocino County, we've done coordinated permitting. We were the first watershed in the Navarro north of the San Francisco Bay to do coordinated permitting. We went from doing maybe one project every other year to, within a 7-year span, we did 31 projects under this program, and now we're expanding it county-wide. And I was just up here last week to work on our waste discharge waiver and our 401 with the regional board, and we expect that that'll be going through in November. So we're marching along towards not only trying to get the funding lined up for projects, but also having those permits in place so that we can actually get, landscape level improvements on the ground a lot sooner. So, we work with watershed groups, tribes, other NGOs. We work with state and federal agencies. And without landowners, we wouldn't get anything done. So I really wanted to acknowledge that relationship again with the landowners and the resource conservation districts. So, let's see. So the local priorities and that philosophy of grassroots is really important. And I think that what's really, really great is that, RCDs might just represent one watershed or one district of a county, but by partnering with the IRWM process and the North Coast Resource Partnership, we have a much bigger, louder presence. And so that's very, very important, because we have so many of the natural resources that this state relies upon, and we don't have a big, dare I say it, political voice, or, you know, big presence in terms of our landscape and how things get done in the state of California. So I think really that's probably the most excellent part about the relationship for the RCDs and the IRWM, is that, you know, we're a big, big, you know, giant entity when we partner together. And so therefore, you know, we can advocate and support what we value. And so I wanted to thank you all and take my seat.